Have you ever seen those memes or videos showing how guys swipe right on every woman they see on Tinder? They're just hoping that eventually some women will swipe right on them too. We laugh at this because, well, it looks pretty desperate, right? But it turns out, from a biological perspective, this behavior is actually pretty typical. Although, let's be honest, there are some definitely desperate guys out there too. Men have a reputation for being the ones who are always on the hunt for more partners. But women? No. We don't usually think of women like that. So, is it true? Do men really need and seek out more partners than women? Well, to answer that, we actually can get some help from an unexpected source. The 30th President of the United States, John Calvin Coolidge, who served in 1920s. Instead, when he died, people joked that it was hard to tell because even in death, he still talked just as much as he did while he was alive. But despite his quiet nature, Coolidge was sharp. During a visit to a chicken farm, the First Lady noticed a rooster mating with a hen several times. She asked the guide if that was normal, and he said, "Oh, yes, roosters mate many times a day." She found that interesting and asked him to tell the president. And when the president heard this, he asked, "Is the rooster mating with the same hen each time?" The guide said, "No, Mr. President, it's always a different hen." The president then told the guide, "Make sure you share that fact with the First Lady." And that's how the Coolidge Effect got its name. It's a term that describes how a male eventually gets bored with the same partner, but if a new, attractive, and willing female comes along, he's suddenly ready for more. Scientists were all over this, and by 1963, the results were in. Just to give you some context, this was the year when the Beatles recorded their first album. Valentina Tereshkova became the first woman in space, and President Kennedy was assassinated. At the same time, somewhere in a lab, three scientists were carefully observing whether male rats would tire of mating with one female, and how quickly they'd recover if a new one appeared. The results confirmed what had already been seen with chickens, and what we now call the Coolidge Effect. But here's the thing, how do we know that humans behave the same way? As scientists say, for obvious ethical reasons, you can't exactly run these kinds of studies on humans. But honestly, I am not so sure. Imagine a scenario where somewhere in the world, at some university, two groups of people come together. Those who want to have sex while being watched, and those who want to watch it live. A group of scientists in white lab coats runs the show. They tell the participants to pair up, give them rooms, and say, when you get tired, just come to the front desk for new partners. This scenario is basically ready for a movie. Maybe even with tickets, popcorn, and a paid live stream. The university would definitely rake in the cash. But can we really say there wouldn't be anyone willing to volunteer for such an unethical experiment? So, yeah, no studies like that exist. So we have to find other ways, as we often do when we can't just have sex. Researchers figured it was enough to see how people get aroused while watching movies. Back in the 80s, they did a study where they showed a group of women and men the same sex scenes with the same actors for 4 days. They noticed that the participants became less excited with each passing day. Then they were shown two more movies. One had new actors doing the same things as before, while the other had the same actors but in new scenarios. And this is where things got interesting. The men became very interested in the movie with new actors, while the women preferred the movie with familiar actors but new interesting scenes. So the Coolidge effect exists in both sexes, but the reasons for boredom differ. Men look for new partners, while women seek new experiences with the same person. By the way, don't forget to take part in the short survey I posted under this video. Now, more recently, a large study with 600 people was conducted. Each person got 10 profiles to choose from and could pick as many people as they wanted for 10 possible dates. They could choose one person for all 10 dates or spread the dates among different people. And guess what? The Coolidge effect showed up again. Men statistically chose significantly more women from the available pool and were pretty consistent in this behavior. Women, on the other hand, selected fewer men, usually one or two, investing time in building a relationship. But, surprise, they weren't as consistent. If there were more men in the pool that they found physically attractive, they increased the number of their choices. A woman's choice of a partner depends on whether she's looking for a long term relationship or just a short fling. When planning a life with a man, she considers his status and resources. But when she's looking for a fling or a short adventure, she's more likely to focus on physical attractiveness. Men, on the other hand, look for physically attractive women for long term relationships. But the less they plan to commit, the less important her looks become. This tendency becomes stronger in men as they age. The older they get, the more likely they are to seek out new, younger partners. This is driven by a desire for new experiences, but also by the fact that older men can often offer status and resources which younger women find appealing. In the study, men said they want their partners to look interesting and change their appearance often. Meanwhile, women pointed out that they change actually their appearance more frequently than their partners. Maybe this is their way of responding to men's need for novelty and a strategy to keep a desired man by their side. The takeaway is that both men and women experience boredom with each other, especially in long term relationships. Men tend to look for new women, while women expect novelty from their current partner. Both sides can find satisfaction by addressing the need for change. The more creative men will stimulate their long-term partners by proposing new activities in bed, but also outside of it. Women who are aware of their partner's need for novelty will in turn take care to change their appearance frequently, especially in the bedroom, but also not only there. The Coolidge effect confirms the evolutionary basis behind men's pursuit of multiple partners. They want to ensure that they have as many offspring as possible so that their genes survive. Women, on the other hand, invest more in relationship to avoid raising offspring alone. However, children don't need care for their entire lives, so this drive to keep a partner doesn't last forever. This leads to the question of whether humans are closer to monogamy or polygamy, but that's a topic for another time. So, in summary, yes, at first glance, men do seek more partners than women to have as many offspring as possible. However, women adjust their strategy and choose more men if they find them very attractive. After all, the ultimate female strategy might be to raise the children of the best looking, strongest man with the wealthiest possible partner. And sometimes those aren't the same person. But stay calm. Serious scientific studies have shown that only 1, maybe 2% of fathers are raising someone else's child without even knowing it. So here's the question for you. Do you prefer fresh faces or lasting relationships? Let me know in the comments. And if you're curious, the links to all the studies I mentioned are in the description below. Now click the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.